How's it going, guys? And welcome to the mobile Q&A live stream for both Old School and RuneScape. We're joined here with Mod Mike, Mod John C, Mod Shawnee, and myself, Mod Archie. We have tons of questions. I really didn't think there'd be this many questions, but there have been tons of questions, over 1,000 comments on our Q&A thread alone on the Old School subreddit. They have a lot of questions. We have answers. Hopefully.
So obviously, you know, in the scale of things, it's a very special stream. It's not often RuneFest, I think, is the only time, and maybe Game Blast, where RuneScape and Old School come together. And I do cherish these kind of things. I think it's really cool. So I think it's a really good opportunity. So we're going to use this as an opportunity to kind of go into depth a little bit with RuneScape and Old School on mobile. So hopefully we can answer what you can. So let's just kick this off. So how do you feel the announcement's gone down so far?
Oh, it's been crazy. It's amazing, though, you know, to see something that we've put so much time and effort into to be received so well. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it was just really storming. So wasn't expecting anywhere near as much positive response, and yeah, really pleased.
How long has mobile been in development for?
So Old School research started just over a year ago, but we've been in like full-fledged development for the last 3 to 4 months now. Is
that why we've been avoiding the question on Q&A streams?
Probably, yes. I've not been around for many Q&A streams, as everyone's probably about to point out, but yeah, that's probably why. We've been working on this quietly for, just over a year.
Yeah, so many suggestions come through from players saying, like, you should do this, it'd be a great idea. It's like, we're doing it. We're literally doing that right now.
I think they've been working on it for so long in the background, haven't they? And they just, we've wanted to do this for years.
It's really hard. Like, every time it comes up as well, you just want, like, when are you going to do it? But you have to wait for the right time, make sure it's possible and feasible and what have you. But we're finally there.
One important question is, the people want to know why you're sitting over there. Because we're actually in opposite sides for our streams, which is very odd in its own way.
I prefer this. This is a better side.
There you go. All right, so obviously we've had a fair amount of signups. I think that's safe to say, but how much interest have we had in these beta signups so far?
All right, it's been crazy. Over 150,000 when I last heard across both of them, and it's pretty evenly split as well. As a few more to Old School, but there's a few more players there. It makes sense. But no, it's been overwhelming, really overwhelming.
All right, so we have a couple of videos to show you guys of our early RuneScape mobile builds. But before doing so, sorry, we'll get through a few more questions. What made Jagex decide that now specifically is the right time for mobile with RuneScape?
You guys, the players. We recognise that most of you have been with RuneScape for a very long time. You're getting older, you're not kids anymore. And your lifestyle changes. You've got jobs, you're starting families, you're going to college, and you're always on the go. And having RuneScape in your pocket is just the natural thing. You don't have the time to just sit there in front of a desktop all day, every day anymore. And we want to make sure that we can keep RuneScape and Old School as accessible to you guys as possible.
So I was just going to say, we've seen so many people talking on their live streams, at least, about how, I'm not too worried about mobile, I'm not going to use it, I never leave my computer, but I'm really looking forward to the influx of new players that I think it'll bring in. Even saying that, I think they're still going to use it. Like, without a doubt, there's always a time you have to leave the house. You're sitting like on the train, or maybe you're about to get on a plane. Like,
I think when players start, experiencing the fact that it's a cross-platform play, so you're playing on the PC, you can log out, carry on the mobile. It's the same game, you're in the same place, no XP waste, perfect.
Yeah, it's that no XP waste mentality. I mean, the game is totally interoperable with desktop.
Oh, you did it. Well done. First use of the world.
It's supposed to be smooth and natural. But yeah, even if you do have the time to sit there and play all day, every day, first of all, I envy you. But secondly, there's always that one thing that comes up where you're like, you've got to go to a family wedding, or you've got to take the bus into town or something, and you're just thinking, I could be sat at home gaining XP and talking to my friends.
Imagine double XP weekends, man.
Oh, it's nuts.
So obviously we have the beta signups, so we're actually going to put a link into the chat right now for you. If you haven't already signed up for the beta, you can do so with the link we're going to throw in the chat in just a moment. But in the meantime, let's go through a couple of kind of quick-fire questions. We can kind of just jump into it. What operating systems are we expecting to run this on?
Android and iOS. We are talking to both Apple and Google to make sure they're happy with what we're doing, obviously. Yeah, that's the plan.
Will I need a new account at all?
No, it'll be the same. Yeah, sorry, it's the same account. So yeah,
it's nice to know you both agree, though, just to be sure.
Good job.
That is the best situation possible, not needing a new account, especially since we're not doing like mobile-only Iron Man player mode. Yeah. What will I be able to do with the mobile client?
Everything.
Everything. It's not going to be restricting at all?
I mean, there's like a physical restriction around like being able to efficiently switch prayers for the Inferno, for example, but I am in no doubt that at some point in the future we'll see someone bungee jumping off of the Eiffel Tower, completing the Inferno on Old School, and we'll just be like, that's crazy good. Like everything is open. There's nothing locked. It's the same game. It's just accessible from your phone.
Can Wook's bungee jump? I don't know. We'll find out.
I guess we will.
You know, we had the streamers here back in, what was it, May, I believe. And one of the things they did do was test a very, very early version of the mobile client. While it was still very early, when they were speaking of it after it had been announced, they were saying very, very nice things about it and how you could do things like one-tick prayer switch. So I think you will be able to play the game efficiently. It may introduce some new metas, I don't know. PKing will be certainly tough, but I think people will actually do it.
I mean, I think people will develop new play styles and you know, different behaviours will come out of playing it on mobile. But that'd be really interesting. We'll
I'm hell-bent on wanting to do Telos. I want to try and do Telos on the mobile. I think it's going to be great fun.
Live.
So, yeah, fingers crossed, we'll see.
We're going to try at least JAD in the office pretty soon because we're pretty confident we can do JAD. It's simple enough that once you've mastered it, unless you're Matt. It's fine. Yeah, we want to try and do that. Maybe we can get a video clip of that when we try it or something.
Yeah. Actually, what do you think the most efficient way to play the Old School client would be? Are we going two-handed, or are we going with like a stylus? Are we going like this? What are we doing?
Well, it's going to vary on what you're doing, obviously. I mean, and the size of your screen. Like if you're on a tablet, the button's going to be a little bit bigger because they're going to scale up with the rendering. But so the mobile interface layout for Old School, at least, it's on the screens behind us. It's got the interface has been split to either side, so you can use it with your thumbs, which is the natural way to hold your phone. You'd probably be fine with a stylus pen. Really depends on the situation, I guess.
Is it a free app?
Totally free.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's going to be a free download for both RuneScape and Old School RuneScape.
Yep. All you need to access membership, all you need to access members features is membership, same as desktop.
And why is there a difference in the time frames for both Old School and RuneScape?
So Old School's a smaller engine. There's still a lot of technical innovation required, don't get me wrong, to make the whole thing happen, but there's just less rocks to turn over, things to untangle and to port over to be able to function on a mobile.
All right.
Kind of a key question here. Will there be more microtransactions as a result of this?
No, there won't. So the game's going to be the same. Obviously, with Old School RuneScape, that's not a thing anyway. On the main game, it will be exactly the same as it is on PC. So you will be able to use your treasure hunter keys, you'll be able to access cosmetics through Solomon's store, and you'll be able to buy bonds. So it's the same as in the main game. But yeah, it's not going to be loaded up with sort of free-to-play style things anymore.
Awesome. Who are the team working on the mobile game?
So we rehearsed this earlier, and I was struggling to remember all the mod names. And then I realised that actually there's a huge amount of people working on this across the business. So we've got the primary guys from the platform team. You probably know a few of them from Twitter. So you've got Mod Atlas, also known as the god of both RuneScapes, and his team. So you've got Mod Boko, Mod Genesis, Mod Vagard, Mod Moles. There's Mod Dark from the client team, work on Old School specifically at the moment. Mod Jed in the Old School team is doing a lot of the content side stuff. There's QA implications across technical and content QA being worked on as well. Most of the web team will be involved as well to rework our login experience, to work with the app stores. The web systems guys to facilitate all the things we need to change. Then obviously all the RuneScape team working on it as well.
Yeah. So we've got Mod Ashes, Mod Pi, Mod Roy, to name a few, Mod Hunter. So we're adding more all the time as well. So.
Yeah, Mod Jet, a bit of a community favorite there. They've been wondering why he hasn't been involved in anything. He's been very, very, very busy with mobile, so maybe we'll see him in a stream in the future, I guess.
Just to clarify, Mod Ashes, just in case people in the chat are going Ash. Just to clarify, Mod Ashes. So yeah, just in case people are like, wait, what?
Okay, so when will it be out, roughly?
So it's difficult. It's impossible to give you an exact date. It's one of those questions you should never answer. It is impossible. So what we have is a target window based on the work we think we've got left. And current predictions are that we're going to closed beta coming into Q4 around the winter, and then basically what happens in that closed beta will determine what's going to happen next. So how much feedback we get, how many compatibility issues we find, what bugs we find, they're all going to have to be addressed before we end up ramping to a full launch. But it will definitely, hopefully, almost certainly be in players' hands this year.
Yeah, and with RuneScape, we're following shortly after that, so I'd expect early part of next year.
Anything standing out in the chat we should be grabbing here? We see a lot of people asking about data usage.
Yeah, so it's a very good concern to have. I can't give you exact numbers because it varies based on what content you're doing, where you are in the game. But Old School, at least, was designed to run on dial-up. So you're talking kilobytes and the low megabytes over a short period of time.
Yeah, and we're looking at different things we're testing out at the moment with streaming options and having things automatically switch off when you're on mobile data and stuff like that. So we'll make it the best possible we can. And
for the North Americans listening, when they say beta, they mean beta. So how can I register my interest in the beta?
I think it means soft launch, don't they?
So if you haven't registered for the beta, what's wrong with you? Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the beta? Just head to either runescape.com or oldschool.com. You really can't miss it. It's just a big announcement on both pages. Hit the sign up now button. All we need from you is an email address, a username, what mobile device you've got, and
you need your Google Play or your App Store account.
Yeah, if your
details,
phone's your App Store account as well, so we can actually get the beta build to you when it comes time to do so.
Yeah, get in there.
Yeah, go.
All right, so the next batch of questions is going to cover how mobile is going to affect RuneScape and Old School. So let's talk combat first. How is combat going to be affected?
Well, in reality, it's just not. It's going to be, again, exactly the same as is on desktop. Now, obviously, it's going to be perhaps a little more difficult to perhaps operate intricate combat, like the Inferno is the ultimate example, like high-level PvP, hybrid fights. I don't expect to see many of on a mobile device, but it is entirely possible, and it's going to be up to the players to basically find out what they can and can't achieve.
Mm-hmm. And we're expecting, or at least I think the community is expecting, it's going to result in a lot of overcrowding. Very ambitious, of course. Will there be mobile-specific worlds?
So we're not looking to add worlds that are specific for people on a mobile. They'll be shared with people on desktop. But we are going to be ready to increase the capacity of worlds as necessary.
Okay. So in theory then, does that mean that the games will feature more mobile-friendly content and or become easier? Or will, as content is made, will it move towards a mobile audience?
So we're not looking to offer specific mobile content on Old School. But ultimately the community decides what content does or doesn't go into Old School. So in the end, it's up to them, but we have no current plans to focus on mobile specifically at all.
And obviously, in regards to RuneScape, does it affect the daily scape burden?
Well, I think it just means that you'll be able to access the game whenever you like, and it just makes it easier for people. So I think it's only going to help with that, isn't it?
Going back to that, actually, it's just that desktop will always come first. We'll be designing content around the desktop experience, so we're not going to do a high-level boss fight that you can just do by tapping on a screen for a few seconds. It's going to be pretty much how it is now. Just you'll be able to access it from your phone as well.
Speaking of tapping quickly, there's some concerns about the experience rates. Fletching being an example, I think you can make darts ridiculously quickly through a tablet.
You can, yeah. So I think a lot of people have seen a friend's video doing that some months ago on his Windows tablet. It's entirely possible. We have no existing plans to really address that, but if it becomes a game integrity issue, we will do. If it's a real concern for the community, again, it's the community's decision if we want to change it or go through a poll. But I'd be incredibly surprised if someone can maintain the ridiculous speed that you need with fingers for a long time. Just going like that for many hours, like you will just lose all of your fingers.
So with mobile, obviously we're expecting a fair amount of players returning as well as new players to come back into the game. So are we going to see some sort of new tutorial for RuneScape or maybe a revamp of Tutorial Island for Old School?
I'll go first. So we're not looking to totally revamp the tutorial for Old School at all. It's a real core part of that RuneScape experience. But we've got to make some optimizations to it to make it actually function on mobile, because there's things like click here to do this, or it shows you how to operate the camera, which is just wrong, obviously, when you don't have a mouse. But that's the sort of limit we're going to be going to.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to make some changes there, so expect something exciting to happen.
Are we expecting to see the iOS and Android versions being developed separately, or are we expecting better performance from a certain platform? Or
so our first round of compat results will really dictate where our focus is, like what needs more focus than the other. But Android and iOS splits from our recent survey shows that it's literally a 50-50 split on who's got what device. So they've both got equal priority.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Are we moving on to the video then? I think we are. Exciting time. It looks like this is actually our first look at Old School on mobile. Let's play the video.
Hype.
Hype.
All right,
Pretty
a lot
awesome.
of PogChamps. That's actually very nice to see. Obviously, not much was going on there. We weren't killing Zora or anything like that.
You're trying to disrespect John C's skills.
I mean, we are, of course, in the early stages, and that seemed to run very smoothly. I know there are no concerns with frame rate and stuff like that.
Oh, that's incredibly crisp. So that was running on a European Samsung Galaxy S7, which is a pretty top-end phone. It's got the Exynos graphics card and chipset, which are like real top end. But yeah, no, I was actually very surprised. That was the first time I got my hands on that build. Mod Atlas set up a local one just so I could record that footage yesterday. And we ended up having to do another take because I was so blown away by how crisp it was running. It's really impressive.
Awesome.
All right, so we'll move on to another batch of questions, then we'll show the RuneScape mobile as well. So can you share some details about how control mechanisms like right-clicking, shift-clicking, and camera movement work within the app, as well as also shift-clicking in regards to dropping and stuff?
Sure, so for Old School, we've got plans of how we want to design it in its initial stage, if you like, and then we'll basically pitch that to players and see how it runs. So addressing specifically right-click, if you look at Old School in its game client on the desktop, you'll operate it very much like you operate it in any kind of web browser like Google Chrome, which was how the Gower brothers designed it way back in 2002. So you've got a left click to do an action, right click to bring up a menu, and then you select your action. And that's very much the basics of operating any browser. So if you look at a mobile, we want to basically mimic that experience so it's still something very familiar and easy to pick up and learn. So a left click, again, is just a simple touch. Right click, we've got a number of options to explore, but we're thinking you can either hold down, you can press down for 2 or 3 seconds to generate the right click menu, and then you can either drag down to select the option, or you can actually release the finger and press. For camera movements, it'll be basic touch gestures, so 2-finger swipes to the left or right, pinch to zoom, that kind of stuff. Shift click's a bit more difficult because you're not going to have the keyboard open all the time. So instead of having something like a shift button in the bottom left of the screen that you might accidentally press and then, or before you know it, you've dropped your AGS and your Bandos and you're having a very bad day, we're thinking something along the lines of a drop mode for your inventory. So you can select an option on your inventory that basically means you've got shift held down while that option is on, have appropriate warning boxes on it, and then you can drop what you need to, switch it off, and go back to playing the game as you were. We've also got one mouse button gameplay that's already in the game. So if you somehow have a mouse that's only got one button, everything is a right click. And that's how we've been operating the prototype and what have you for now.
And brave. Nice. That was awesome.
Okay. Interesting question here. Is there a potential for a fingerprint to be used to log in?
So I love this idea, and it's not in our initial roadmap, so we'll get up to full commercial launch. We want to make sure that the game is running at a smooth and you're getting a good experience. But it's something we want to look at post-launch. It's something that needs a lot of investigation and research, but I'd love to have that. Just a fingerprint to log in. It's amazing. That'd
be really interesting, especially if somebody's like, oh, my account was hijacked, and we're like, well, we can see he used your fingerprint. Aha. Will there be proper tablet support, or will it be stretch/assume the mobile screen size?
So developing for mobile and touch devices is a kind of a total different kettle of fish to desktop in general. Like the actual device you've got is kind of irrelevant. It's all about the hardware within it. So things like your chipset, your graphics card, and your CPU, and then your screen resolution. So what we're planning on doing is UI scaling and 3D scaling. So your entire game is not stretched, it actually scales based on your resolution. That'll be coming to desktop as well once it's ready. So if you've got a tablet with like a 2000 pixel resolution, it's still of a decent size, so you can actually touch things and what have you. And if you're on a phone that's smaller with a 4-inch screen, it's still a suitable size for you.
Awesome. Apologies. Okay, so minimum specs. So if we're looking at the devices, we mentioned iOS, Android, minimum specs to play.
So we don't know that yet. Like we're still in pre-alpha stage, and again, our first round of compact tests will define that. Obviously, the better phone you've got, the better it will run. It's the same as a desktop. It takes resources, but it's not all that much. We want to make it as accessible as possible. But yeah, I don't have any specific info at this time.
And will there be any sort of offline progression? Will they be able to play offline, or is it data or Wi-Fi, pretty much?
You need to be online. It's an online game.
Okay, this is probably my favorite question. Will there be any push notifications? So, your farming patch is ready, Gren Exchange and offer's been sold.
So again, it's like the fingerprint to log in. This really excites me. Like the opportunities to have, like you can get a push notification when your GE offers are complete, when like you said, when your farming patches are ready, when there's like a DevMan finale stream about to start or the Q&A, we can send you a notification when your membership's about to run out. The possibilities are endless, but it's not in our initial roadmap. But I imagine it's going to be one of the things we look at first once we've got the game out the door.
Seeing some no's in the chat, I think it's safe to say you'd probably be able to opt out
of course, they're totally toggleable. We wouldn't do that without. I think it's standard on any app to have notifications you can turn.
Of course.
And it's RuneScape and Old School. You've got all the toggles under the sun, so it'd be silly not to include them.
Yeah.
So a bit of a question for RuneScape. Obviously, we service 3 other languages in the game. Will they be available inside the mobile app as well?
They will, the same as on the PC version, so where they're already localized, you'll be able to get that same version.
Yep. And where Old School is already localized, you'll be able to get that same version as well.
Awesome. So we kind of covered the data already, as it was asked a fair bit, but how large are we looking at for these apps?
So the Old School one, the current one's only 2 megabytes, but that's because we don't pre-package the cache, so all the assets that come with any update. But even when we throw that in, it's still less than 50 megabytes.
Nice.
We'll pre-package what we can, so that when you're installing the game, just in case you're, when you tend to install apps, you're usually on Wi-Fi, but we don't want like a game update to over 4G to send 50 megabytes of data. It's really small.
Yeah, and ours is larger than that. Well, I can't tell you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Authenticator. How does the authentication work on the app? Authentication rather. Is it connected to the other Authenticator app? There we are.
So it's not currently, and we're not planning to do that at the moment either. You'll just have to, if you're playing on the phone and you've got the Authenticator on the same phone, if it prompts you for your Authenticator PIN, just minimize your app, go open the Authenticator, it provides you your PIN, then you reopen your Old School app and place it in just as you would on the desktop.
Speaking of which, we were talking earlier, what happens if I'm doing JAD and I get a phone call?
So it's got suspend and resume support, same as most other apps. If you take a phone call, then you probably want to just decline that phone call if you're at JAD, I'm not going to lie.
Swipe it back up.
But say you're woodcutting, you can take your phone call and the game should keep you idle for as long as it would on the desktop version. So for Old School, that's 5 minutes, I think it's the same.
It's a built-in function, so it'll happen automatically. You don't need to worry about that at all.
Cool. Will voice chat accompany the release of mobile?
No. But you'll be on your mobile device, so if you've got a voice chat app, you'll be able to use that in the background of whatever apps you're using anyway.
Well, it's a phone, so it should. Yeah, they can use like Skype or something, obviously. Sorry. Will I be able to play music at the same time, like Spotify or Facebook at the same time?
Yeah.
Or will it be more like YouTube, for example? If you play a video, you close the app, it stops playing.
That's exactly the same. If you've got an app that does anything in the background of another app, that'll be continuing exactly the same as it does with the Old School and RuneScape apps. So if you've got Spotify playing music, or
you just want to listen to the lovely RuneScape music.
Yeah, if you want to listen to the lovely RuneScape music, that'll obviously take precedence over it. But yeah.
I'm seeing it come up obviously a lot in the chat, but battery usage, what are we looking at here?
So we'll make it as best as we can. Again, we're still in pre-alpha, so we've not done any optimizations or anything. It shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. But yeah, we'll be optimizing that as much as possible, because obviously it's no point having it in your pocket if you've drained all your battery in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So just before we go on to the RuneScape video, what are we looking for? So just a question for me. So what are we looking for with beta testers who go in? So I mean, what kind of data, if they get in, would help us the most if they're participating?
So with the beta, we will automatically collect performance data through Android, and I've not actually looked into iOS yet, but I'm pretty confident they provide you a lot of usage statistics. So that will like seriously shape where we're focusing our efforts on optimization. But from the players themselves, feedback. So how are you finding the UI and UX? Like, are the interfaces in a useful place? That kind of thing. And obviously bug hunting. We'll obviously do what we can, but this is a huge thing. So any bugs that you guys find, please report them. That kind of stuff. But no, the feedback's going to be the key thing. We really want, it's Old School and RuneScape. We want you guys involved. You always have been with everything that we do, and we want that to continue with the lead up to launch.
Awesome. All right, let's pop the second video up now, which is RuneScape on mobile. All right, there you go. So let's kind of talk about the beta process a little bit. Do we have any criteria straight off the bat on picking any beta testers at all?
So at the moment, not yet. Obviously, we've got like over 150,000 at the moment. And that's only going to increase. But what we'll be looking at is like the most dedicated players that can provide us that meaningful feedback. Obviously, you've got to have the right devices that we're targeting as well. So if you're on something that no one else has got, there's a chance we might really need you. But yeah, there's no preset criteria that guarantees anyone a place or anything.
Awesome. And what are we expecting the beta process to be? Are we expecting like a soft launch in certain territories, or is it just going to go all out when it happens?
So I can't speak for RuneScape, but for Old School at least, my current plan is once we are ready for closed beta, I'll roll it out to a couple of thousand players to start with. And as the days progress and we get more confidence in the build, I would like to like phased roll out that to further players. The beta itself will last for as long as it needs to last to make sure that we get the optimal game. It's really got to be great before we go for a full launch. But it's pretty standard with any mobile game to go into soft launch into some quieter territories first. It's about testing and security and stability. So we may look at that, and then we just basically roll it out across the world.
Okay. While we're quickly running out of questions, we've got a few from the chat. But firstly, I wanted to ask about if there'll be any way to distinguish whether somebody's on mobile in the game. As a normal player on a PC, if I right-click a guy, am I going to know whether this guy's on his phone or not?
Currently, we've got no plans to do that. I'm not sure why I'd really want it either, because it is...
If I'm PKing and I see a guy on his phone, I'm killing him.
Well, that's fair enough, but then that puts him at a disadvantage.
Yes.
It's probably something we can do. I can't guarantee that. If the players really want it, we may be able to look into it.
I don't think they'd want it. I'm just curious.
But, yeah, the whole point is that it's totally interoperable with desktop and mobile, so I pulled it off twice.
Twice, well done. Played.
Yes.
Nice.
They've got no idea what we're going on about.
Yeah, let's tackle these ones in the chat.
Okay.
Mouse and keyboard support, Bluetooth.
So yeah, if you've got any Bluetooth devices, I believe if your native operating system supports them, then the keyboards itself should be able to support them inside the game. I'm not sure about mice, and I don't want to say something that's incorrect, so I'm just going to say I don't know. Sorry.
Do you grab some of these?
Yeah, that's fine. So I think it's safe to say, so the question on RuneScape Classic Mobile, I think that's safe to say we can just say no to that, I presume.
We're not planning to do Classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting though, I've not actually heard that come up before.
Well, RuneScape Classic Mobile.
Yeah, it's just...
Maybe on the old Nokia or something.
Frame rate? We've touched on this earlier.
Yeah,
but
we're getting some really good frame rates in testing. So.
Yeah, so obviously it depends on your device, same as a computer. If you've got a low-end computer, you tend to have worse performance. If you've got a really low-end phone, you're going to have worse performance. But at the minute, the Old School desktop client is limited to 50 frames per second. The pre-alpha build that you just saw a video clip of was actually 60 frames per second. It was genuinely impressive how crisp that was. It's a real testament to the guys working on it.
Yeah. And RuneScape's running up to 60 frames a second, as with NXT.
So with the beta, are we using actual live servers for this, or will they be placed in their own special servers?
No, it'll be the live game. When we roll out the beta, you use your live accounts to log in. You can play the game as you would on your desktop. It's very much live and kicking.
Awesome.
Cool. Applying for the beta, can I apply on 2 different phones, and can I apply to play both betas?
So you can apply to play both by completing both surveys. If you've got 2 different phones, if you can... we don't have any issue with you applying twice, but the SurveyMonkey system only lets you do it once from each IP. But you can do, if you can find a way around that, then go for it.
You'd need a different Google Play or
yeah, you need
App Store account.
As long as you've got
well,
separate App Store accounts as well, of course.
Do you want to tackle that question there? You're next.
Oh, fine. Yeah, okay, I'll tackle it. I'm just going to say this, just botting, question mark.
So we are aware of the implications of going on. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it compromises the systems that we have and are going to facilitate, of course. But we are aware of what we need to do, how we're going to go about it, and are reasonably confident that it will be fine. And I appreciate that's like a terrible answer because it's just a case of them believing me. But I really can't give you any more info without compromising systems and what have you.
Yeah, here's how we detect bots, and here's what you can do to avoid that system.
Yeah.
All right. Are you confident the servers can handle the potential traffic that mobile brings?
Yeah, so we've got, it's not just world capacity, we've got things like when you open up the app, it connects to either runescape.com or oldschool.com to select a world, for example. If we've got hundreds of millions of players all of a sudden trying to do that, it's going to struggle. So we need to put together forecasts of what is like a reasonable scenario that we may end up achieving and make sure we can facilitate that.
At what point do we decide, let's throw in a whole bunch of new worlds? Are we waiting until every world in Old School is like capped, or how's that work?
So I actually have a report that shows me capacity of worlds and specific pieces of content as well, because some pieces of content get a lot more crowded in one world than perhaps the amount of players on that world suggests. And I can use that report to tell us, basically, are we like 50% capacity, 60% capacity, are Bloodveld super busy, all of a sudden do we need more worlds? And it's pretty easy to spin up new worlds, provided there is space in the racks. And
so I imagine that kind of comes in handy when obviously you have a new Deadman season launching, for example.
yeah, so we've got 12 specific worlds for those now, for example. Like the sysadmin team done some great work recently to facilitate all the worlds we're likely, all the worlds that we wanted recently with Deadman and Australia. And we'll be making sure that we're ready for the launch of the mobile games.
Awesome.
I don't know how people can even think this is a possibility. VR?
So we have no current plans to move the existing games to VR, but it's an interesting
Same as
topic.
console.
Because what would you do? Like, would it be a first person?
It'd have to be a different version of the game. It'd be an old school themed VR game where you could do a couple of things like kill a monster or chop a tree, but there's no way we could feasibly put them into the live game through VR.
Oh no, it'd have to be totally different. We'd have to rebuild the entire game in Unity, most likely as well, to make it happen. But could you imagine running around with your actual dragon skimming and just like, there's a goblin?
He was waiting for that opportunity.
I was. I eyed it up. Knocking over all the things.
Will this affect update frequency? Good question.
So it shouldn't, no. Not all game updates will require an app update because there's just server-side deployment. If there's no major config changing and no engine changing, you shouldn't need a game update. Sorry, you shouldn't need an app update. We'll just roll it out and your app will take a little bit longer to load as it downloads the assets. But it's not going to affect our frequency now.
I mean, as we said earlier, Jed's been working on this for a while. He's one of our developers in Old School, of course, and we've still had some incredible updates over these past few months, especially coming forward. I think this is one of my last questions here. Does this mean consoles aren't too far away?
It does not. We have no current plans to put RuneScape or Old School onto consoles.
They're spamming it.
Yeah, good timing on the question there.
So they're asking for a Switch. Yeah.
So question.
Sega Mega Drive.
Game Boy.
Mega Drive.
So question from the chat, which is, if a bug affects our account during a beta, will there be rollbacks to certain accounts?
So that's a good question, and not something I've actively put mental capacity into thinking about just yet, because we're quite away from being there.
I think it needs obviously total player support.
Yeah. So if you look at RuneScape when it went through the NXT beta phase, we did have that caveat on it. Old School's not been in that position before, so we'd need some tools and systems to make it possible. But I think that's totally fair, and we'll look at doing what is best.
Awesome. Can we talk about the companion app? So will we be getting an update to the companion app with mobile?
We're going to decommission the companion app later this year.
Okay.
Mainly because most of the things that you can do on the companion app, in fact, all of the things you can do on the companion app, you'll be able to do on the mobile version of the game. So you just won't need to have that anymore. And yeah, the companion app's been around for a while. It's on a old version of our tech platform. So yeah, we're going to decommission that, and we'll provide more details about when that's going to happen very shortly.
Are the current job listings on the Jagex website for Unity developers in any way linked to mobile?
No.
No, they're not.
Good observation.
Sorry? Oh, good observation, sorry. And how can players give mobile the best chance of succeeding?
Take part in the beta.
And after that? Share with your friends, tell your friends.
Yeah. I was going to go into a whole sort of
I'm sorry, I just completely jumped on that. I'm sorry.
But, take part. Like the whole reason we're doing this is to bring you the best experience, the most accessible experience for the game that you love and play every day. So do get involved, give us your feedback, help us make it the best it can be, and yeah, once it's out, share. Like, go out, sit on the bus. If someone comes over and says what you're doing, don't minimise it and say, "Oh, I'm watching porn, leave me alone." I'm playing Old School on my phone. Celebrate that it's on the phone.
Oh my God.
What did I say?
It's going to get mean.
Well, there's another question here. Can you play Old School on mobile and your desktop at the same time?
No, it's the same as the desktop. You can't log into the desktop twice because you're on the same account, so it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, unless you're using a different account.
Yeah.
But no.
Right.
You're all right there, Shawnee.
I don't.
We had a question in the chat saying Deadman on mobile. That's a very dangerous question.
Because it's Deadman?
Yeah.
Deadman is dangerous.
Oh, come on, how amazing would it be if we had the final hour and someone is on their mobile at the venue, playing on their mobile during the final hour? It'd be pretty awesome.
Do you know we've had a lot of area specific Ironmen When people say like, "Oh, Karamja only Iron Man," I never leave Karamja, and they say that they have no way to prove it. Of course, obviously we can see. It'll be interesting to see the mobile-only builds, which we will of course be able to look on the back end to be like, "I see you playing on your computer, buddy." But, we'll see. We'll see what YouTube series and streams come out of this. Speaking of which, somebody was asking about streams. I believe I heard something about the next Apple update potentially going forward. They're going to have an option to record, so you can record your screen. And streaming, I think Twitch actually has something right now built in where they can offer a really nice piece of streaming software.
Yeah, so the technology is getting there for that. I mean, you see it, like there's IRL streams happening all the time. There's quite a big area on Twitch, and the developers are starting to catch up with that and being able to facilitate that. And yeah, as you said, iOS 11 has the ability to record your screen built in. And yeah, Twitch, we know, are they already rolled out?
I swear I've seen people using it, but I'm not 100% certain, so I can't say.
No, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Definitely.
You're gonna have to. It's on there. I guess you should bring it up.
What's that?
Well, that's it. It's Steam. Question mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of us on the sofa were ever involved in it, but I know it was explored at some point and didn't happen. And I'm pretty confident we have no plans to explore it again. I don't know why it didn't happen. I'm sure there was a very good reason. But you don't need it on Steam. You can just download it from our websites.
All right, so I think that is, unless everyone else, obviously keep the questions coming while we can, but I think, Mike, do you want to get this ready, I guess?
Well, I think I ruined it, actually. But
you ruined it?
So you've been sitting there, no XP wasting.
You've been, oh God, you've actually ruined it.
You'll have to teleport out.
Okay, so basically, we love, obviously, trying and we love pushing ourselves for what we can do. So basically, I'm just on a quick tablet version of RuneScape at the moment. So obviously, just to clarify, prototype is all hell. It has a long way to go, but it's pretty cool how I can just, if I wanted to do my Menopause woodcutting and just train it along the way. So the potential there. the potential is pretty awesome. So yeah, here it is right here. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. So we can kind of move it. I'm going to try and not get the glare of the light here, which is kind of a skill. Because we've got the lights from the studio here. But no, it's awesome. I'm actually really excited. So hopefully I can actually get an actual personal build so I can start playing. It'd be great.
We'll sort it out, surely.
But yeah.
What do you think the craziest place we're going to see someone playing one of the games?
Yeah, so I'm thinking personally, I really like my iPad. At first, I thought it was like a really dumb purchase, and like it's just a big version of my phone. And then I use it every night. It's so nice. You finish a day's work, you lay down in bed, watch some YouTube videos, some streams, or whatever, and now you can play Old School while doing so. Or not now, but very soon. I'm definitely going to benefit from that.
I think it's the bathroom. I think it's going to be the most popular. It's like, because phones are waterproof these days as well. Like you could sit in the shower. No, you wouldn't take it into the shower with you, but you could mount it on the wall next to the shower and just like click the tree, do your hair, click another tree.
Is this what happens when you haven't come on the stream for many months? Like,
I'm being serious, Sean. I'm totally serious. Especially, definitely going to the loo. You know, everyone's taking it with them.
Yeah,
they might not admit it, but they would.
Way too long.
I ran a poll on my Twitter. It had 1,000 votes, 44% in the bathroom out of 4 choices.
That's crazy. So if you didn't hear it, that's Mod Stone saying you ran a poll on Twitter. 1,000 votes, 44% of you said you'd take it with you to the bathroom. And that's just those of you that are willing to admit that.
Very true. We've talked a little bit about specific devices. Which one are you guys looking to use the most for RuneScape?
Do you like tablet or phone? Or?
Yeah, like I'm thinking iPad.
I've always wanted to play these, game like
I need an excuse to get an iPad. So yeah, I guess I need to.
That's really smooth. Whatever that is.
Yeah, this is the what's this? The Samsung.
It's a Samsung S3 tab, but
yeah,
they're quite high end. But the Android ones are pretty good value these days.
Yeah, so we had a prototype. Well, I had a prototype at least of like basically a proof of concept back in April. Went away with my fiance to her parents' place for the weekends. And I didn't take my laptop or anything, but I had it on my phone, so I was doing farm runs, logging, battle staffs every day. It was excellent.
So the only thing I don't want to see is people playing at driving.
Yes,
for health and safety, but no driving and RuneScaping.
No.
Get
a passenger, complete 2 at once. Yeah, you're fine.
Oh yeah, if you're a passenger.
So it has come up in the chat a bit. I think we addressed it earlier, but will it run in the background, so you can just minimise it, right?
You can minimise it. Obviously, if you leave it idle too long, it'll log you out, but it saves your state as best as possible.
What happens if you press the power button?
Your phone will turn off.
No, sorry. I mean like the screen lock button. Like going back to your passcode screen.
That's the same as
It just locks
minimizing.
the phone.
Yeah, it's basically minimizes everything behind the phone. You unlock it again. If you get back there quick enough, it should resume as expected.
Okay. And if you do turn the power off, are you logging out or are you staying in the game for 5 minutes or however long it is?
I think if it loses connection, it will kick you out as soon as it realizes you've lost connection. Obviously, there's a little bit of it tries to reconnect you, so you don't, every time you're changing like cellular zones or something, it doesn't kick you out immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it realizes it can't get back to you, it'll just boot you out. It doesn't wait all 5 minutes.
So don't AFK in the wilderness with 1% battery.
If you're AFK in the wilderness with 1% battery, you deserve what you get. That's Darwinism.
That's a really good screenshot. Save that idea from our That's good. I like to live life on the edge. Quoted.
That's brilliant. It's going in the official trailer, isn't it?
We of course can link you guys the beta in the chat. And we've got
You're just still going to keep this up, the whole beta thing, yeah?
we've got the old school Q&A where I think we're
I'm
probably
not
gonna
used to
have-
playing while not actually looking at the tablet, but I am moving around, so it's not an image, just to clarify. You can actually play it and stuff. And obviously, the interface on this is not what was shown.
We're still experimenting with all sorts of different options for the interface. There's, scrolling menus and radial menus and all sorts of things. But we're coming up with some different ideas. So
I want to talk about some other cool stuff we might be able to do.
yeah,
That's, I'm going to use the word might because there's a good chance this stuff is not going to happen for quite some time after it's out. But haptic feedback is something we've talked a little bit about.
what does that mean?
So yeah, what is that?
That's basically when the phone vibrates. So if we can create the normal support for that, you can tie it into anything. So say you're slaying, you're AFKing, a nice cannon task at Black Demons or something. At the moment, on Old School, if you get a nice rare drop, you can set the value threshold for that. You get a nice red message in the chat. What if your phone vibrated? And what if it automatically took a screenshot and saved it to your gallery?
Oh, and then
brilliant.
tweeted it and then posted to your
shared
Facebook.
it as well. Like, just does all that stuff.
Possibilities are endless.
There you go.
All requires work,
Amazing.
so it's
That'd be pretty awesome.
certainly a future thing. But no, I love the idea of haptic feedback. It's a total second screen game. You're just chilling on the sofa at home, watching whatever.
Well, it's something we can't really do with PC very well. So yeah,
Well, yeah.
it's something
Make
we're really
the
up to.
desktop vibrate.
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant.
So will the app on launch have any way to socially share stuff? So let's say you've got an achievement and it knows something, will you be able to share it like that?
Not on launch, no.
Okay.
It's just one of those things that we'd like to tackle afterwards.
Awesome. All right. Is there anything else?
Yeah, we've used up all the old school questions. We've just got a bunch of random spam in the chat now. So I imagine we will have a lot more questions for mobile in our Q&A tomorrow. Of course, still happening 5 p.m.
Do you want me on the stream tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
First ever Q&A in ages, right?
That being said, we're going to spam the beta link in the chat for you guys. You can also find it, of course, on the website, right?
Go sign up, go.
Yeah. And I'll be posting the thread very shortly, looking for questions for tomorrow's stream. Looking forward to what you guys have to say.
Yes, and on top of that as well, ModSween's actually going to be doing a live FAQ on the RuneScape and old school RuneScape forums in regards to the stuff we've talked about today as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. And for anyone who is expecting a RuneScape stream on Friday, sadly it won't be because I will be away for the next couple of days, actually celebrate my actual birthday. My actual birthday.
Happy birthday.
So yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. But I think apart from that, it's been amazing. It's been a pleasure. It's been great fun all the same. But yeah, I think that'll do it unless anything you guys want to say to finish up.
Yes, there is one last thing
yeah,
I
by all
want to
means.
say, actually. We've seen a ton of, unfortunately, we've seen a ton of phishing emails come through. We are not sending out links at the moment to come and urge people to play the beta. Unfortunately, there are people out there who are trying to spam you guys with stuff, trying to take your info. So don't trust those links.
Yeah, when we come to actually contact you about any info or the beta, it'll be bloody obvious that it's us. Like, we'll send you an inbox message if we're asking you to download anything. You'll see it all over our social, and just be careful. It's
Just pay attention to the official Old School Twitter account and RuneScape Twitter account. That'll be the best way to find out whether it's legit.
And I think it's safe to say when the time comes, obviously when we do our news posts, etc., we'll probably have the information on there as well, because I think that'd be an awesome thing to do. But yeah, I think apart from that, that is it. So hopefully you've got an absolute hype train kind of going here for what you've seen. Of course, Old School on mobile, RuneScape on mobile. Both of them looking pretty awesome all the same. And just to clarify one more time, when are we expecting Old School to come out again?
winter.
For RuneScape?
Soon after that. But it'll be before you know it.
There you go.
Very soon.
All right.
Already in July.
Yeah,
It's not as
indeed.
long as you think. Like me, for what we're trying to do here, it's a lot to do in the time we've got. So
It's definitely taken massive strides, that's for sure.
We've got a shameless plug as well. Free-to-play Castle Wars stream. Is that
There we
Friday?
go.
Free-to-play Castle Wars stream Friday at 2 p.m. UTC.
Was it Monster? Is it Monster versus Modscreen? Is that what's happening here? If I remember correctly, yeah.
Free-to-play Castle Wars stream, Modstone against Modsween, Friday at 2 p.m.
So 3 p.m. our time.
3 p.m. BST, 2 p.m.
There you
UTC.
go.
That's 11 p.m. Shanghai.
All right, I think that'll do it. So thank you so much for joining us, because it has been an absolute pleasure. And in a way, I kind of hope we do more of these streams more often. It's nice having a nice little mix between the two games.
Nice having us both here at the same time as well.
Yeah.
It's great. So yeah, thank you all for joining
Thanks for
us.
having us.
And it's been a pleasure. So take care, have yourselves a great night, and we'll see you around.
Bye-bye.